Welcome to the Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway podcast, where you will hear transformational stories, positive encouragement, and practical strategies to help you grow your mindset, reach your potential, live your dreams, and experience a purpose-driven, impact-filled life. Here's your host, Alan Blaine.
This is Alan Blaine, and I am fired up to interview our special guest today, Hunter Croan. Hunter's friends and family would best describe him as having a love for the water since birth. He was raised on Lake McQueeney, living in almost every neighborhood on the lake growing up. He has also resided on Meadow Lake, Lake Placid, and currently lives on Lake Dunlap with his wonderful wife, Ashley, and their two boys, Rylan and Zane. Having grown up on the lake, Hunter naturally became a competitive wake skier and wakeboarder. He was, get this, the 2003 Collegiate Wakeboard National Champion. Can't wait to hear more about that, Hunter. And he also worked at various theme parks around the nation, including SeaWorld and Six Flags, performing in water ski stunt shows. To this day, you will still see him on the area lakes training behind his favorite boat, which is a Malibu. So apparently my Moomba is not even going to qualify. I know Malibu's better, but we can talk about that too, Hunter. Hunter graduated from Texas A&M in 2004 with a degree in marketing. He actually wanted to use his degree in marketing, so he got in real estate in 2006. From 2008 through 2016, Hunter was one of the top individual producers in Central Texas, where they reside. He created the Lakefront Group in 2017, and from 2018 through this year, 2023, they have been either the number one or the number two producing group within the largest Keller Williams market center in the world, which is Keller Williams Heritage. Two of Hunter's most memorable times in real estate was when he was featured on HGTV twice. And ironically, I just got done interviewing one of the HGTV founders on last week's episode. So small world. But anyway, Hunter, welcome to the Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway podcast. You ready for this?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Alan.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for this conversation. I've given everybody just a little brief overview of kind of who you are and what you do. But if you could start us off by just telling us a little bit more about who is Hunter Croan and how did you get to where you are today?
Man, you covered it in my bio, so it's hard to add to that. But no, as you can tell, I have an absolute love for anything waterfront. It's that waterfront lifestyle. Hence why we got into selling waterfront real estate, is to sell that lifestyle. Because what we sell is that lifestyle. The house, the property, the improvements are all a byproduct of the lifestyle that they're buying into. So living that lifestyle makes it very easy to sell.
Because you're passionate about it. And you obviously, it's a great point you're making. It's a lot easier to sell. There's a couple points I'm hearing right now is, one, it's a lot easier to sell something that you believe in and that you're passionate about, which you obviously are. Mm-hmm. And two, I love what you said. I mean, you're selling the lifestyle, you're selling the benefits, and not everybody that hears this podcast is in sales. Well, I would argue everybody's in sales. They sold their spouse on marrying them. They sell their children on obeying them. We're selling all the time. But, in sales as a profession, not everybody does that. But one of the things for those that do is, it's easy to start talking about details and features and miss talking about benefits and lifestyle and the things that move us emotionally. And I love that. Sounds like a fun thing to be selling, waterfront real estate.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it enjoyable or is it just a job?
Well, I'm out of production now, so my team handles the transactions directly with the clients. So, but I've been in it since 2006, as you just read. And so I've spent a lot of time with clients, and we take them for boat tours, really selling that lifestyle, as I was saying. So it really truly is. Like, even when we get with our videographers, they want to showcase every feature of the house. And I'm like, no, showcase where it's out on the lake, follow a boat, because that's what they're buying into. How easy or how quickly can they access that fun on the water? And because, like I said, I've grown up on McQueeney, lived in almost every neighborhood on that lake, lived on Meadow Lake, Lake Placid, and now Lake Dunlap. I've seen it all, and as far as locations of the water, and can preach the benefit of every different spot. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of people, my competitors, will come up to me, or new people getting into the industry, and they say, "Hey, I want to sell waterfront real estate to be successful," and they know nothing about waterfront, and they don't know that lifestyle. And that's truly, I know people say that as a slogan, we sell a lifestyle, but truly, they don't know what they're selling. We are selling that lifestyle. It truly is. I mean, I've been called a lake rat, water ski bum, all the above. Been there, done that.
So tell me, or tell our listeners, I already know, I like you, I live on the lake here in the Nashville area. What is the waterfront lifestyle for our listeners?
What is the waterfront lifestyle? Most of the time, people are looking to make those core memories with their kids, whether they're young or in college. They just want to connect. I mean, who doesn't want to visit their parents that have a lake house? When you have a nice house, the nicest house on a 1 acre overlooking a city or a valley or whatever, nobody comes back for that. They come back to go play on the lake. And so it attracts the older kids, and it's an opportunity like I have. I've got 2 boys, and we've grown up on the lake. My youngest learned how to ski at 17 months and 29 days.
Wow.
So we've made a lot of core memories, and I grew up on the lake as well, and I wanted to share that experience with my family and also with all of our clients so they could make those memories. But that, I would say, that is the waterfront lifestyle, is those memories that families and friends get to make together on the water.
I love it. And you know what? One of the things, not to get too far off topic, but as a family, we lived 11 miles from a ski resort several years ago, and that was wonderful memories. But the one of the many things I love about the water is, especially wake surfing or any kind of water sports, it's like you're in the boat together. You're there making memories. I mean, you're close. You're not spread out all over the mountain or wherever. Everybody is together. The family is together. Such great memories. And for those that don't live on the water and don't have a boat, I mean, you can experience that even without living on the water, which is so much fun. Did I hear you say you have a son that learned to water ski at 17 months old?
Correct. 17 months and 29 days.
17 months and 29 days. That is awesome. I would love to, I'm sure you got video of it, but that would be an awesome sight. 17 months. I mean, there's some children, I realize most walk around a year, but there are some that aren't walking at 17 months. And he's out there skiing. Slalom, double ski. What was he doing?
Skis. It was the tied together skis with the handle tied to the skis as well. It's a lot of people. It's easy when you know what you're doing. Kids freak out about it if they've never been in the boat, for one, or they never put the skis on. So we put the skis on, and I pull them around the grass, for months prior to that event. And then we put the skis on. The boat was already going like 5 miles an hour, and we just set him on top of the water. So he never had to get in the water, and he was used to being pulled around the grass, so it was no different.
Wow.
I can share with you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Hey, let's talk a little bit about just your professional success before I dive into some other questions for you. But you are the number 1, number 2, it depends on the year, probably there's a little fluctuation there. One of the top 2, sometimes the top 1 team within your local Keller Williams office. And your local Keller Williams office is the largest office, meaning what? It produces the most volume or transactions, or however they're measuring it, of all Keller Williams in the nation? Is that, or in the world?
Yeah, it's the largest Keller Williams market center in the world. And Keller Williams is the largest real estate brokerage in the world. So I believe it's agent count and possibly transaction volume. I'm not 100% sure on that. Different categories. Last time I checked, that it was number 1 at. We're not the number 1 Keller Williams team by any means, but we are definitely one of the top producing Keller Williams teams worldwide.
Yeah.
But this year we're looking like we're going to get the number 1 spot again.
Well, congratulations a little bit early. I know there's a few weeks left in the year, and that's awesome. Tell us real quick about the College Wakeboarding National Champion. I mean, I've never met a collegiate wakeboard national champion, but does that mean what it sounds like it means? You were the best college wakeboarder in the nation in 2003?
At that tournament.
Gotcha.
So no,
Wow.
it's Collegiate Wakeboard Nationals started in 2001. I went to Texas A&M University, and we did not have an official wakeboard team. I got third in '01, and our team, I think, got second or third. But we didn't make it to '02, and then '03, it came down to Austin. So there was 97 riders, I believe, there, and ended up having a good few runs that day and took the top spot. It was I'm really good at tournaments for no money. If you were to put $5 on the line, I would have fallen for.
That's awesome. So how old are you now? You're what? That was 80. You said that was 2003. So that was your college years were in the early 2000s.
Correct. 2000.
So what's that make you now? 40-ish,
42.
early 40s. So at 42, are you still pulling the aerial stuff?
And we'll get into the dam failure where I live on Lake Dunlap, which its dam failed 4.5 years ago. Up until that point, I could still do my winning run from '03. I got better after '03, so I lost a lot, but I want to get back there. I don't know if I will, but now that we have a lake back, which we'll get into in a little bit, I plan on getting out there a few times a week and see if I can successfully in my 40s do the run that I won in 2003.
Okay. Well, you know what? I want to ask you one last question. Let's jump after this next question right to the failure of that dam in 2019 that we talked about earlier. But what would you say, Hunter, has been one of the keys to your success? You're killing it. I mean, you're 42 years old, top team in the largest market center within the largest real estate brokerage in the world, selling lakefront property. You got a whole team of obviously rock stars doing that under your incredible leadership. Like, what would you say is one of the keys to your success?
Keys to my success is getting into the business when I did, and I noticed a hole in the industry that wasn't being filled well on the website side. And at that time, in into '07, nobody really had a strong foothold or a comprehensive website for the local lakes. And so what I did, I didn't have any money. I went and started typing the HTML, learning how to code websites, and I built several websites from the ground up, filling that hole, which was funny because I remember building those websites and not really thinking that people were going to them yet. And I was sitting on phone duty, which means you're sitting in the office, the Keller Williams office, waiting for the office phone to ring. And my cell phone rang, and a lady called me and was asking about a house. And I looked at it, and I was like, well, you called the wrong phone. Because I didn't think anybody was going to my website. So
Your internet marketing was starting to work already.
yeah, it snowballed out. So, but yeah, that was definitely the biggest key to my success was being able to fill that hole. If I was getting into the industry now, that'd be very difficult because the competition is pretty fierce on as far as SEO and working your way up those search engines.
Yeah. Well, you continue though to have, that was 2006, I think you said. You've continued to have incredible success. Here we are in 2023. So a lot of years have passed. You're the top team in obviously the largest market. We already talked about that. So it's a lot more than just the SEO at this point. Would you agree? I mean, what is the key to that's allowed you to sustain running a successful business, managing a successful team, and staying essentially at the top of your game?
Well, I mean, referrals and repeat clients are great, but man, just having a phenomenal team. I used to think I could do everything better than anybody else, and um, anybody that has a business will quickly tell you that's not true. There's always somebody that can do something better than you.
Yeah.
And you just need to find those people and hire.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I love your humility as well. Such good stuff, Hunter. Let's talk about that challenge that you mentioned a minute ago. You said, and I know when we were talking the other day on the phone, you said 2019 was the year that the dam broke. And I forgot the name of the lake, but tell our listeners a little bit of that story, because I know you were sharing with me that's one of the biggest challenges you faced to date, maybe the biggest challenge. Can you share with them a little bit of how that all went down, how it affected your business and and then we can talk about what you did about it from there.
Absolutely. In 2019, actually from 2006 through 2019, or till May of 2019, we had represented the Guadalupe Lakes, which is a chain of lakes and rivers starting at Canyon Lake, Guadalupe River, Comal River, Lake Dunlap, McQueeney, Lake Placid, Lake Seguin, and Meadow Lake. And I live on Lake Dunlap, and our dams, actually all the dams in this chain, except for Canyon Dam, we're about 90 years old. And a sunny day, no foul weather or no heavy rains, the front hinges on one of the gates of the Lake Dunlap Dam gave way, and the gate just completely disintegrated and disappeared. And our lake was drained in a matter of hours.
Wow.
And so I was up that morning, and I remember drinking some coffee, and the lake had been down a foot, and I could see it on my dock. It has like a pole that it will touch. And I remember looking that morning, and I was like, wow, the lake's actually up. It's been down a foot for the last few weeks. I went and put some clothes on, came back out, and it was back down a foot plus some. And I was like, that is really weird. I've never seen it do that. And sure enough, got a phone call. The alarms went off that the dam broke, and it was too late then. I had 2 boats stuck in my lift. But what it did to my business is that was most of our business. We worked Canyon Lake quite a bit, but the majority of our business at that time was Dunlap, McQueeney, Placid. And so we lost $6 to $7 million worth of contracts as soon as that dam broke, just because, people didn't know what was going to happen. That was not devastating at that point, but a few weeks later or a month later, we were switching people over to McQueeney and Placid, which had working dams or gates. And GBRA, who owns and controls these dams, said, we're going to drain all of them. We don't know if these other dams are going to break. We're just going to drain all of them. So that literally turned my business off like a faucet. I mean, everybody stopped and halted any forward progress in purchasing a lake house.
Wow.
We ended up, several people on the lakes ended up suing GBRA and got an injunction to halt them from draining the other lakes until they came up with a solution to repair them. Fast forward that those lakes have been drained since and are under construction. But that was extremely rough. At the time, I had about 9 months worth of reserves, and it took about 10 months for it to turn around. Very, very humbling. As soon as it happened, I tried to take matters into my own hand, and I was like, what do we do? Let's switch to the next chain of lakes, which is the Highland Lakes. And I expanded there. I figured all the buyers that we had would still want to buy a lake house at these other set of lakes, and it didn't really happen like that. I was about 7-8 months into it, and finally just broke down and got on my knees and gave it to God. Prior to that point, I really kept business and my relationship with God separate. And this whole experience really and truly humbled me to rely on Him on every aspect of my life, not just check in on Sunday and say, hey, how's it going? I'm here, and then I'll see you next week. And I have to remind myself of that often, but it's in His hands. And 1 month after I ran out of money, things turned around, and we've been doing really well since. But looking back in hindsight, I'm glad I went through that, because I have a much closer relationship with God. And like I said, I'm in C12, the Christian Leadership Board, and they use the term business as a ministry. And I'm not as good as, say, Daryl Lyons that has stuff set up, but I'm working at it to bring Him in every aspect of my life and my business. So, but yeah, after COVID had just started, and that kind of slowed down, which has kind of extended the turnaround. But after COVID, kind of the newness wore off. As you know, the real estate market just exploded, and so we were very blessed after that to skyrocket in production after that. So
wow. So man, some good stuff in here. Some challenging stuff, but some good stuff. One is you had 9 months of reserves. Most people don't even have a few months of reserves or even a month of reserves, honestly. You had 9 months of reserves. So, there's a big lesson. I mean, what if you didn't have reserves? What if you had 3 months of reserves, and it took 10 months to get this thing turned around, which was still a month longer than your reserves. So I can only imagine, especially when you said you were around the 7 month mark, I think, when you said you kind of just fell on your knees and said, God, I'm, running out of options here. I need to make sure you're a part of everything I'm doing. And what a great decision that is, speaking from experience. Wish I would have done that much sooner in my life. Anyway, but you did get it turned around at the 10-month mark. What did that look like? Because this started in 2019 when the dam broke. 10 months later, I guess we're into maybe 2020.
Right.
Were you in COVID at that point? Like, what was the change? The dam, the lake wasn't put back together. And you went to another chain of lakes that didn't quite pan out like you thought. So what was the turning point?
So actually, yeah, good question. In November of 2019, we had direction. So each one of the lakes, the GBRA could not afford to replace the dams. And that was the big question mark, because people didn't know if they were buying into a river. The Guadalupe River runs through there. So there was a river back there, but the lake was question mark. And so buyers wanted confirmation that there was going to be a lake there at some point, and when that was going to happen and how much it was going to cost them. So each lake had to come together, create a WCID, Water Control Improvement District. It's a taxing district. We basically had to tax ourselves in order to get our dam back, get our lake back. So each lake did that. Dunlap, McQueeney, and Placid. Meadow's still working on that right now. Actually, there's a vote today, which we might find out about. But anyways, we had to tax ourselves. In November of 2019, we had put everything together to where that vote passed, and we were able to create a taxing district. And so buyers had some reassurance that, hey, look, we have a plan, we have a source of money for the dam, and they knew roughly how much that was going to cost each homeowner. Ad valorem tax, very similar to like a school district tax. So once we had answers, buyers were comfortable at that point. Well, November passed, and then COVID started right after that. So then everybody freaked out and paused for a little bit. So that's what kind of extended it. So after everybody figured out that COVID was going to last a while and people could live wherever they want and work remotely, a lake house moved to the top of a lot of people's priority list that it hadn't been there before. So real quickly, we got really busy.
That makes sense. So just out of curiosity, where is Lake Dunlap Dam at now? Or is it still trying to be funded to be rebuilt? Is it still just a river running off in the distance from what used to be a lakefront homes property line?
I live out on Lake Dunlap, and we have 2 weeks ago a full lake, 100% full. So
wow,
it's
wow, that's fresh. This is new.
Yeah,
this is exciting.
So it was like, I think, what did they say, like 10 days short of 4.5 years. So
okay,
2 years of planning and about 2.5 years of actual construction.
So this makes sense now for me. I guess I wasn't connecting the dots earlier, Hunter. Up until 2019, you were still at 38 years old or whatever you would have been then, still doing your stuff, aerial stuff with the wakeboard and all that. But then you lost water
right
for 4 years, and you haven't done much, if any, I don't know, getting on the water somewhere else because it's not convenient, right? And so you're now have water just as of a couple weeks ago to get back on. Is that right?
Well, sort of. Yes, we lost the lake, and we were preaching to our clients, hey, I'm confident in these dams. So I actually bought a place on Lake Placid because I knew my boys at the time, I mean, they're 11 and 12 right now. I knew I was going to miss key years with them on the boat. So I bought a place on Lake Placid, and we're able to spend a lot of time on the boat with them. I ended up breaking my hand and my toe. So that was a whole different story. I don't know if we have time for that, but yeah, that's why.
The challenges never end, do they?
So I wasn't able to be behind the boat, but I was able to be in the boat with them and spend a lot of time with them on Lake Placid. Then that dam broke, and I got another boat stuck in the lift at that point. I'm really good about getting boats stuck in my lift when the dam breaks. The dam's going to break. I'll put my boat out there and it'll be.
And you got me nervous, man. Our lake is like dropped a significant, like I've never seen it so low. I've never seen it this low in 2 years of living here. And I'm like, man, hope our dam's okay. But glad God knows, and I don't have to worry about that. But I've never seen it so low. So we'll see. Like my lift, I don't think is getting a boat off of it at this current moment of recording. When you were going through that, though, that what I could only imagine was a super difficult, nearly year-long kind of period there. How did you work through? Like, any tips for us working through like the negative self-talk that we all can face, when going through a super hard time?
I mean, anxiety for sure was heavy, and it's like it's the curse of the entrepreneur. So I mean, prayer, working out. Good friend of mine, Keith Wing, who's also on my C12 board, phenomenal builder, by the way. He recommended a book by Craig Groeschel, Winning the War in Your Mind. That one really, really, really helped me. If anybody has anxiety, I highly recommend that. Pretty much everybody has anxiety, in my opinion, but that one is a phenomenal book. So just getting into a rhythm of morning time with God in His Word, working out 3 to 4 times a week. That's good for me. I'm allergic to working out.
You break out in a red rash and sweat.
Exactly. Does that happen to you too?
That's awesome. That's great advice, though. Get the exercise in, even whether you feel like it or not, and obviously surrender it all to the Lord and take it to Him in prayer. It's the only solution to worry, fear, anxiety, and all those things. And I love that you shared that. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, I mean, let's limit it to one this time. What would you love to have known much earlier on in your life and career?
I guess a long answer. I don't know if it's exactly what you want to hear, but I had my priorities all mixed up. I thought I was, I'm the provider, so I need to work really, really hard to make a lot of money to support the family, which ended up putting my family second, third sometimes to, work and other things. So I could go back, what I try to tell people is just keep your priorities straight. Put your big rocks in and realize the important things in life is not the next commission check. It's you know, it's God, family, then business. So that is definitely something that took me way, way, way too long to figure out. And I'm decided to pull out of production for that reason. After 2019, my team it was growing actually, and I completely pulled out of production. I think around 3 years ago, and I'm able to spend a lot more time with my boys and my wife, traveling or just out on the boat or going for walks. I'm not working until 2 a.m. anymore, and I really push even for my agents not to overwork themselves. Of course, there's certain times that you really have to push.
Right.
But, work until 2 a.m. every day of the week is not healthy. It's not sustainable. And I did that for about 10 years. So definitely, if I had to go back, I would have liked to have figured that out a lot sooner.
I love the analogy. You said put the big rocks in first. And I know probably a lot of our listeners are familiar with that analogy. I would imagine there's plenty that aren't. But help me if I'm not doing a good job explaining for them, Hunter. But putting the big rock, and I think this is what you mean. I've seen it demonstrated that when you take big rocks and put them in a jar, and then take the smaller gravel, the smaller rocks, and pour it in second, it can fit in and around the bigger rocks, and you can get more. Essentially, you can get more weight and more rock in the cup than if you start with the little rocks and then try to add the big rocks. You don't get as much in there. Is that a fair representation?
Absolutely, you did it way better than I could. But yeah, that's
so in that context, you're saying I'm making a statement really as a question for you in that how does that apply? How do you apply that you're reprioritizing how you're spending your time in the day? Is that essentially what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. The big rocks. My morning routine is wake up, work out, sit on the back porch that overlooks the lake. I read a daily devotional. I sit there in silence, just be before the chaos of the day, and then I either read or listen to the Bible through the Bible app, and it gets your day started off right. And I'm not good about that every single day, but at least a few times a week, I try to have that rhythm. And when I get off of that rhythm, I definitely feel it. I get more anxious and, just not able to reflect and listen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. What advice would you give to somebody who is in the middle of their dam being broke right now? I mean, they're in the thick of it, whatever it may be. I'm using that figuratively speaking. Obviously, their challenge is going to be different than a dam breaking, more than likely, like it was for you. But what advice would you give to them?
Get on your knees a lot faster and pray. It's all in God's hands. And sometimes we try to control things that we shouldn't try to control. And, seek wisdom from other godly people. That's one of the reasons I'm in C12 is to get advice from other successful business owners that are also striving to be like Christ.
What is C12 for our listeners? Can you explain what that is? You've mentioned it three times already, which means it's obviously very important. I don't want anyone to miss at least the concept of what it is you're talking about.
It's a Christian leadership board, basically a group of around 12 successful Christian business owners in all different fields. So you're not competing against anybody else in your, chapter. I might be saying that wrong. So that are coming together to help each other. And, you do a core business presentation once a year, and everybody basically sees everything about your business, the financials. They interview two people from your company. They interview your spouse, and just want one to make sure that they look for holes that you might not see in your business. And then also too, they interview the spouse to make sure that you're not overworking, your priorities are straight, and you're spending time with the family, and there's not any issues at home. So it's accountability. It's just guidance again from other successful Christian business owners.
I love it. I love it. How valuable. So good. So good. What would you say is one habit that has helped you in living a successful life that you live today, Hunter?
Oh man, I was trying to think about that one. I don't know if it's a habit, but I don't give up easily.
That's a good one.
So I keep going and going and trying to figure out a way and to make it happen and get the right people on the bus and make sure that try to make sure everybody on the bus succeeds and wins.
That's so good. Resilience. And so for so many years, and I think a lot of people think this, for so many years, I thought really successful people did something really extraordinary. And although there are examples of that, what I've learned is most extraordinarily successful people do very ordinary things extraordinarily consistently, and they just keep doing them. And it's that consistency, as you said, not giving up, not quitting, that makes the difference between those that really enjoy success in their relationships, in their finances, in their health, in their any aspect of life. I think you want to fill in the blank. And I love that you mentioned that. What is one of the best pieces of advice that somebody has given you?
Well, kind of to build on what you just said is don't be afraid to try. Most successful business owners, they're not afraid to try something, not afraid to fail. I mean, they're not trying to fail, but you know, paralysis by analysis, I guess, is the terminology I've heard. But I'd done that same thing when I first started my business. It just took me forever to just make a decision or make a hire or make a fire. Just do it. Just if you got a good feeling about it, your industry better than anybody else. Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to try something new. that might work. It might fail, but heck, it might work. It might make you the top dog.
Like experimenting with SEO in 2006 for lakefront property, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people have told
I love it.
me, and when I got in the business, like, I don't really see you as an agent.
That's what somebody said?
Yeah, a lot of people said, I don't really see you as an agent. You don't strike me as a real estate agent type. And I was like, okay. Well, I'm doing it anyways.
I love it. I love it. People probably didn't see Elon Musk as a car builder or a satellite builder or all the other things that he's accomplished either. It's interesting how we stereotype what we think a realtor should be like, or anyone for that matter. It's interesting. I love it when people break the mold. What is one book that are you much of a reader? I don't know. Or is there a book that you might recommend to the Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway audience?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Winning the War in Your Mind by Craig Rochelle. I might have mentioned his last name. Pastor of Life Church, I believe.
Yeah, Craig Rochelle, yeah.
That one really, really has helped me. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have anxiety. It's kind of built into the trade. So that one really, really does help. I need to reread it actually, but my wife read it after I did. I've referred it to quite a few different people, and everybody just comes away kind of a weight lifted off their shoulders. It's, turning everything over to God.
Wow, sounds awesome. Sounds like a great book. I know turning it over to God is definitely know that's the answer, instead of anxiety and worry and fear and all the things that any one of us, as you said, can definitely slip into, entrepreneur or not, but yeah, even more so probably as an entrepreneur in different ways. We've talked a lot about success, and I've said a few times, you've been very successful. What would you say is your definition of success? Ever thought about that?
If you had asked me 7 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have put some sort of dollar figure in a bank account for sure. But, it's good relationships. First with God, then family, then others. So I see that as success, whether you have $10 in your bank account or $10 million in your bank account. Being those good relationships is definitely my definition of success.
I love it, Hunter. I agree. Definitely agree. Having in their scenario $10 or 10 million with a bunch of hurting relationships is certainly not a life I would want. Obviously, you wouldn't want it either. So I think those rich relationships, being relationship rich, is definitely success. When you think about the future at this point in your career, at this stage in your life, and it may change day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, but right now, as you sit there and think about the future, like what is the first thing that comes to mind that you're super excited about?
Business wise or just life wise?
Either. Take it any direction you want. I know it's multifaceted, so however you want to answer it, I'm just curious.
Oh man, my boys are about to be in middle school and going into high school after that. That's a whole new chapter, and they're a lot of fun to play with. And so just being able to go snow skiing with them, and of course water skiing now that the lake's back, that's very exciting. Business wise, man, life's a puzzle, and it's fun to put the pieces together, And I've contemplated, after we've done the expansion to the Highland Lakes, there's other sets of lakes that I could also do that with, but I'm working on finishing building out the Highland Lakes, getting it to a profitability that I'd like to see on that. It's a for-profit business, and also business as a ministry. If there's no profit, there's no ministry. So, working on figuring that expansion out, or finishing that expansion out, and then possibly doing others. Houston set of lakes, Dallas set of lakes, or even beyond. So, I don't know. A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of fun stuff. I'm getting excited just thinking about it through your perspective there with the boys and your family, and then on the business side as well. Endless opportunities, as you said, for ministry, as God continues to bless your health and your business and your finances and all that. What is the best way for our listeners, Hunter, to follow along on your journey, connect with you, reach out to you if they choose to do that?
I mean, the best way is first off our website, Lake Houses, the number four, sale.net, lakehouses4sale.net, using the number four. Um, you've got the bio that you just read came from there. You can read about me and any of my other agents, and also contact me through there. All our phone numbers are on there. Email address, well, contact forms. You get spammed if you put email addresses on the website.
Right. Perfect. That's awesome. And we'll put all that information down below in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, you can just hop down in the show notes and access Hunter's company website and all the things that he just mentioned. By the way, how many agents do you have on your team? I meant to ask you that earlier.
Currently, I have 3 producing agents. So we're
3 producing agents, and you're the number one team within the largest market within Keller Williams. That's pretty phenomenal. That's exciting. You must have some amazing agents.
we're not a lot of agents, but they're super high producing. My 2 of my agents last year, their production alone over doubled the closest team behind us.
Wow. Well, what's the numbers? How much volume is like one or both or whatever agents producing on their own?
Last year, my 2 top agents were just under 50 million. This year, my top agent's probably going to be 55 or 60 million. And so last year we did about 118 million. We're a little bit lower than that, but everybody is with this shifting market, higher interest rates. But we're still doing really well. There's good deals to be had. There's a lot more to pick from than there ever has been in the last few years. So smart buyers are realizing that they can put their money into a lake house, which is an investment that they get to play with, whether they want to rent it out or future appreciation. As you being a waterfront or lakefront homeowner, I'm sure you see that appreciation. Waterfront property appreciates at a much higher rate than regular real estate. So again, most people don't see it that way, but the smart ones see it as an investment that you can't play with your stocks. You can play with the lake house.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that point out. Before I ask you my final question, Hunter, what is the range of lakefront property that you and your team are selling there? I don't know if you want to give me a range or an average sale price or both, whatever's easiest.
Our average sales price last year was right at $1 million. I think we're at 850 this year so far. It depends on the market. Like the Highland Lakes, my agent up there, he typically averages around like 1.5, 1.8, I believe. I hadn't checked that in a while. But
Yeah.
that's a much higher price point market. I don't know if you've heard of Lake Austin, Lake LBJ. Those homes, equivalent homes, are sometimes $1 million or $500,000 more than what you find on the Guadalupe Lakes.
Gotcha. So you do have an agent or 2 or 3 that are putting out some amazing numbers. I mean, I'm just doing some rough math going. If someone's turning out 55 million a year and the average sale price is $1 million, just to use some round numbers, they're selling 55 lake homes a year. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I think Hagen was like upper 40s. Hagen and Frank. Frank beat Hagen on units, and Hagen beat Frank on volume. They were like $1 million disclosed volume apart from each other and like 1 or 2 units apart. But and then I mean, we've got, again, my business model is to find the best salesmen out there. That there's a lot of teams. Like one of the teams, great team, and most teams are. We're competing with teams that have 30 to 45 agents doing our same production. Not units wise, they're typically a smaller price point, but I really just only want to deal with the best of the best as far as admin, as far as agents, the best salesmen out there, and really just gather behind them or rally behind them to make sure that they can succeed. And those 2 top producing agents are actually lakefront neighbors of mine. They all live on Dunlap as well, and so it's fun to see their success as well.
Yeah, absolutely. How fun. Hey, this has been awesome, Hunter. I'm gonna give you the final word. Any closing comment you might want to share with our Life's Hard, Succeed Anyway audience?
I'd get mad at myself if I didn't say some sort of call to action. So But if you're looking to buy or sell waterfront property in Central Texas, look no further than the Lakefront Group. We're here to help.
Awesome. And you are in the New Braunfels area there, right? In between what? San Antonio and Austin? Is that an accurate description?
I live in New Braunfels, but we represent 17 different lakes and rivers. So I told you the Guadalupe Lakes, that's Canyon Lake, all the way through New Braunfels, which is the Guadalupe and the Comal River, Dunlap, McQueeney, Placid, Lake Seguin, and Meadow Lake. We also represent all the Austin area lakes, which are called the Highland Lakes. So you have Lake Austin, Lake Travis, Lake Marble Falls, Lake LBJ, Inks Lake, and Buchanan, also the Blanco River and the San Marcos River. So if anything waterfront in Central Texas, we've got you covered.
Okay. Well, next time you get up to Nashville, show me how to wakeboard, wake surf, whatever you want to show me. And if I get down there, I'll be calling you up asking for some lessons. Is that a deal?
It's an open invite anytime you want to come, and I'll be bringing my board next time I fly to Nashville.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Hunter, thank you so much for taking your time to hop on here and share some of your story, your experience, your wisdom and lessons learned with us. It's been awesome.
Alan, thank you for your time.
If you love this podcast, grab some of Alan's free resources on his website at alanblain.com, spelled ALLANBLAIN.com. You can also find links to Alan's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok there in his contacts page. Lastly, if you can leave a 5-star review for us on your favorite podcast app, that will get these messages out to more people and it will really mean the world to us. Thanks in advance and make it a great day.